This is the Elite Entrepreneurs Podcast, where we teach you the proven methods to grow your seven-figure business to 10 million and beyond. Please welcome your host, Brett Gilliland.
Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Elite Entrepreneurs Podcast. As you know, every week I bring business owners who have been there, done that when it comes to the seven-figure growth journey. They've gone to eight figures or more, and today is no exception. I have Jason Wojo with me. His company is called Wojo Media. He's the founder. It's not been around a long time, but they've really grown quickly, and so I'm excited to have Jason here sharing his real in the trenches lessons learned from growing his business through that seven-figure range to eight figures plus. So welcome, Jason, to the show. We're excited to have you.
Yeah, thanks, Brett. Appreciate it.
All right. So Jason, how long has your business been around? And give a little context for what you guys do at Wojo Media, just so our audience knows who we're talking with today.
Yeah. So Wojo Media has been live for 6 years now. I started when I got right out of high school because I'm very young, obviously. We work with service businesses, coaches, consultants, brick and mortar and e-com stores. We help them scale their revenue with paid traffic, help them harness the right KPIs and the right funnels and the right sales process to obviously be able to scale and, harness their numbers for, increased margin, scalability, and help them harness all their sales systems.
All right. So you're helping them drive that traffic so they can grow their business. But you go beyond just driving the traffic. You actually help them with sales training, all that stuff to be able to grow their business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's an all-around ecosystem. I mean, because business owners are under this misconception about paid traffic. They think that they can just run a bunch of ads and get a bunch of leads and they make more money, when I can give you a bunch of leads, but can you close them? And even if you close them, can you service them? And even if you can service them, can you keep them? Even if you can keep them, can you ascend them? So all these things in the back end that business owners don't really think about, because paid ads is sexy. It's this click and publish and make money kind of niche where it's really not about that.
Yeah, that's the tip of the spear maybe, but there's a lot of work behind that. So well said. And 6 years, like you said, very young, coming right out of high school doing this. And here you have an 8-figure business. Why don't you share how many people you guys have today? And then we'll talk about some of the growth you've experienced and the lessons you've learned.
Yeah. So we have about 52 team members, and 6 of those are sales. And then 3 of those are people who work in my event side of the business. So if we were to segment between the two, there's about 42 on Wojo Media and about 10 on Scale Your Ads.
Got you. Okay. Very good. And it's quite a growth curve. And with that, quite a learning curve. Let's rewind a little bit to when you're just breaking that $1 million mark. Maybe you had 6, 8, 10 people. I don't know how many people you had at that point, but you had a growing team, and you had to go from knowing all things ad spend and lead gen and sales and all that kind of stuff to now I got to figure out how to build a business with these people. Like, we just have to keep adding people. Now, how does that work? So take us back to then, if you can. And talk to us about some of your challenges as you were growing through that phase.
Yeah. So hitting $1 million in a year was just what I call a proof of concept. It means that people want what you're selling and you're solving some type of problem at scale, right? But the biggest piece from going from 7 to 8 was finding product market fit. So like, does my product or my service able to service even more people at scale to where I can service actually more dynamic issues in the market? And that's where we saw we were getting a lot more lead gen business owners than e-com. So we had to start making better product market fit, service market fit for lead gen business owners, which we then started acquiring sales training and building that department out. And then, we're recouping more graphic design on that side and then more automations and API and webhooks and all those things that were happening. The biggest thing with us was in the beginning, man, we had about 4 people when we did $1 million. And it was because I was selling all these bigger, one-on-one consulting packages. And that's what allowed me to go to $1 million a year. What wind up happening was that I couldn't service all those people on my own. So I had to then start building a DFY section. We figured that done for you is just more beneficial. It attracted better people who didn't just want to hear me tell them what to do instead of just doing it for them. So Done For You expanded the horizon for us and allowed us to really market to more business owners because we couldn't just solve their problems. We could solve a lot more people's problems. And also Done For You gets more referrals. Like coaching is cool, but you're not going to get a lot of referrals from DIY. It's really not just that sexy anymore. So we were looking at that sales journey and that customer journey of like, hey, how could we squeeze more money out of not just our ad spend, but our customers who are excited and happy about the services. And that's where things really revolve for us. So building out Done For You required teams. It required strategy leads, marketing managers, account managers, copywriters, developers, media buyers, assistant managers. Like this whole hierarchy happened too. So just to kind of like branch off that, it was, how do I replace myself? And when we do create this product that is market fit, how do I put the right team together to obviously make that work? The thing that I messed up on in the beginning, when people are hitting 1 to 3 million a year, 3 million is where most of the break point happens. And the break point's usually in people. And that business owner is struggling to give away their systems, and they just didn't do it in the beginning. So my biggest mistake when I was trying to scale was I never recorded or did Google Docs or anything like that on the things that I was doing. Like I never did an SOP before. I never thought that was important. I would just hire somebody and be like, yeah, like just do it, figure it out. And yeah, that definitely didn't work. So like that's my big piece of advice so far is like, if you're someone who's making $1 million a year, 2-3 million, and maybe you have like under 15 staff, really start, like I would take a step back and scale down, right? So don't run a lot of ads right now. Don't try to do a lot of acquisition, and just really cement like who your actual leadership roles are, what their duties are, responsibilities, and how do you relay that to new people? Because you think about going to 7 figures, people are building marketing funnels. And how do I get more leads? How do I get more acquisition? Now where we're at 8 figures, we built a hiring funnel. Like we built a funnel to spend money on so we could pay people more. Like it's just a complete switch. And like that hiring funnel was hands down the hardest thing we ever had to build. Like getting leads in the door is the easiest thing, but getting new people in your ecosystem and giving them SOPs and training them and getting them up to speed is probably the hardest thing, because you're not just building a team anymore. You're building, morals. You got obviously ethics. You have, goals. You have to make sure that they're getting paid what they want. And also you have to make sure that they're incentivized to grow and they can see the new roles in the company. Like so many things have happened from, crossing that $3 million a year mark.
I love the way you described that, Jason, because you went from talking all about client journey, product market fit or service market fit, and you went like, you were a technician who was figuring all of that out. And then as you realized the only way to growth is by adding a bunch of people. Then you saw that sticking point that usually happens somewhere between 1 and 3 million, certainly not going to get way past 3 million if you haven't figured this out, is that you went to like the employee journey now instead, or the team member journey, or like however you want to talk about that. And that transition sticks a lot of people, and they hit this ceiling and they're like, oh, I can't do it all anymore. If I want to grow, I'm going to have to do that with people. And I'm not sure I can figure that out. And I hear a lot of people say, I don't know how to be a leader, or I've never done this, but they didn't know how to do consistent lead generation before either. And they figured that out. They didn't know how to write good copy to prospective clients, but they figured that out. And now we're just changing it. We're just changing it to let's write great copy to prospective team members that match who we are, right? Our purpose, our values, our work ethic, all of that needs to be in the copy that we're writing to, in this funnel for new team members. And you described that very well. So thank you for doing that. It was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing too is like business owners who want to become leaders, like they try to sit behind the computer and have a marketing funnel because it's easy to do acquisition. It's easy to sit there and be like, yeah, let's write copy. Let's do a funnel. Let's run an ad. Cool. We're getting leads. Okay. Sales team. How are you guys doing? What's the KPIs? Are you guys driving revenue? Like what's the cost per show? All this stuff. Right. But becoming a leader is a whole different animal. And that's a skill set that I had to literally like pay tons of money to learn because I didn't realize that those things mattered. Like it was so hard for me to go from, because most entrepreneurs, man, when they first start, they're all introverts because we don't like the corporate world. We don't like, all that stuff. Like all that stuff is just like fuzz to us. So being an introvert causes us to have to grow out of our shell. And dude, it was so hard for me. Like being in a room and speaking with tonality and like getting people to be a part of a mission and like our mission statement and our core values and all these things, that was so difficult. The biggest thing that helped us out though was like me having a brand. So some people out there might be introverts and they want to hide behind the camera. I mean, the only piece of advice that I can give you is that if you want to be a leader, you have to do a couple of things. Number one is you have to be like this personal brand person that attracts the right clients and like A-level leadership into your business. So that's what I did. Like, I'm not very good in the whole leader sector, but I'm good in like magnetizing the right people because they want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. And if you can't show them that, then they're just going to find somewhere else where someone else was able to develop that kind of ecosystem for them to grow. So we have a good brand. Like I have over 1 million followers on Instagram. We were able to attract the right people. And then also I built an event business because one way I was like, hey, how do I get more people to be like not so virtual anymore, but also attracted to what we're doing at a personal level? Let's run events. Like let's invite the team members in. Let's have a fun weekend. Like let's build team like building activities. So we built the event business. We have events every single weekend across the entire United States. We're on a huge tour right now, and it's building team culture. Team's excited about it. They get to see me in person. We get to have dinner together. We get to do like team activities, go out on a boat, take a walk, stuff like that. Like it's just things that allow me to get out of my comfort zone. So that's the best loophole that I had to building like leadership inside of the company for sure.
Well, I like the way you're describing how your transition to leadership was required if you wanted to keep growing. And you talked about a couple different roles. One is, what I think you characterize as the leadership piece, which is maybe the internally focused, how do I lead these people? But you talked also about the magnetism and how do I create this branding thing externally to attract not only the right clients, but also the right team members to the ecosystem that you're creating. And I want to tease that apart a little bit more, Jason, because there are some people who might listen to that and say, I'm not going to get 1 million followers on Instagram. I'm not good at, nor do I care about that whole branding thing that Jason's talking about. So can I even do this? And what I'd like to at least offer up as a possibility is that you can be great at what you're great at. Like there are different styles of leadership, but you do need to learn what needs to happen. And then you surround yourself with others who can help you make that happen. So if Jason weren't good at branding and he were good at like more of the internal leadership stuff, then he would get a really good marketing leader, a really good branding person and help him do that. But Jason happens to be really great at that stuff. And so he shared with me before we started that you recently hired a key leadership role. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, so recently hired a CEO to take over all like ops and decision-making and also like hiring process, because the problem that I was having was that, dude, I was so good at marketing and funnels and like trying to find people, but what I wasn't good at was like people in general. I wasn't, because here's the new, like I love podcasts, but you have to know your zone of genius. Like my zone of genius was building funnels and getting clients. Like that's my thing. Just leave me in a room all day and I'll grow your business like you've never seen before. But if you put me in a funnel where I have to hire people and talk to them, like I'd rather not. It's just something where like, I'm not good at that. Like, where do you see yourself in the next 6 years? Obviously making more money, but I didn't see that like people cared more about money. I just didn't realize those things because I'm so young, dude. It's tough. So I was like, all right, I got to find somebody who's good at ops, who understands hierarchy, who understands like motivating team members, who understands team. Like that was something that I had to replace. So now my time is so freed up, man. And that's the thing too, though, is that if you're not a good leader, unfortunately, like for your margins, you just get to spend more money to find people with those skill sets. So like if you're not this omnipresent person who has the leadership, who can do HR, who's very good at, like not just people pleasing, but like overall the motives of people, you're unfortunately gonna have to spend more money on payroll to find those key roles. And that's why you see a lot of businesses doubling up on partners, inviting people in to buy in, and they run to private equity to have the funds and then scale with people. Like these are things that are happening in the space. Now, the one thing that you were talking about before that was really important is that after 3 million, I had to find that motive for people to be a part of, which was having a good CEO and also the events. But here's the thing is that what we're realizing now is once you get past 10, now it's about bolt-ons. So it actually helps employees be more motivated. So like 10 million plus is where you now have like good systems and people and leadership, but now you need to bolt on new traffic sources and like bolt on partnerships to where you can offer more services. So like that's the biggest thing that we've seen too is that, yeah, I could run an ad agency and I can get to 10 million, but like What about a video agency? What about SEO agency? What about all these things that I can bolt on that will make it more efficient, or like a sales training company, or whatever it looks like, right? Because you can only keep things internal for so long. Or if you want to grow past 25, like that's where you're going to really need to have all those things in house, because you can't just be allocating the 10 to 25 million just on like affiliate partners or buying bolt-ons. Like that's where you start to inject a lot of cash and you can buy companies. So like that's what we're looking at, because it's interesting, because most of the time when you go past 10 million, it's all about data. Like data pays the bills at that point, and you're just leveraging data to scale. So like all that stuff is really exciting, man. I think that a lot of people right now too, like we talk about 8 figures, but here's the brutal truth, man, is that some people don't want to go there. Like some people are okay making 1 to 3 million a year, and that's exciting, because 1 to 3 million a year, man, like you can have decent margins, 15 to 30%, maybe sometimes even 40. Like you could be chilling. You could have cash collected at 1.25, 1.4, and then you pay your taxes and you're done. Like you have a great life. So it's something where you can have a very tight team culture too, because sometimes we start scaling and we're like, oh, like I don't get to talk to my team members as much anymore because I'm scaling so deep. But it just depends on like who the person is, like what they want out of it.
Yes, that's so key. What do you want out of it? If what you want in your life isn't served well by this business as it keeps growing, or as it is now, then we got to make some choices. So I want to rewind a little bit to one more time about the leadership thing, because I think it's key. You realized, hey, I'm really good at making it rain. I'm really good with some of this outside branding stuff, and I'm not as good with the leadership stuff. I'm not as experienced with that, and I need an experienced leader to come in and help me do this part. It frees me up to go do a bunch of business development or new idea creation for our business, but I need some help. And so you decided to bring in a CEO. Some people who are listening don't want to give up that CEO position, and that's fine. But maybe you need to bring in somebody from the outside who's going to help you with that branding piece.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing with the CEO thing is I think people just don't want to give it up because it's a cool title. Like they just have this ego about it. They're like, oh, like if I give up CEO, then who am I anymore? Like, what's my identity? I can't say it when I'm online. I can't do this. And I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I had a little bit of a problem with it because I was a CEO for so long. It's an identity crisis when you're trying to be like, all right, like I don't want to be this person anymore. I have to kind of change. But then what you don't realize is that all the growth and all the more important things that you're good at are all on the end of you replacing yourself and getting into your zone of genius. And that's what I had to realize. Like my ego was so big about being CEO. I was like, oh, I built this thing. And then I realized like, dude, I can't grow any further because I'm just not good enough. And we have to realize that as business owners that we're not good at everything. We have to delegate and obviously allocate our right time and resources into things that we're, like things that we're good at, and pay for things that we're not good at. And that's just it.
Yeah.
Like,
That's just it. Zone of genius. And that's not to say that if you're introverted, that you could never do some of the things Jason talked about externally with your branding. But it's less likely, or it might take a lot of time and energy and expense to get there. Whereas if you partner with somebody or hire somebody, that is going to help you get there faster. So it is an ego thing, though, Jason. I love the way that you just shared that. It's like, man, at first that kind of hurt to think like I need some help here, but you overcame that, and now you guys are growing because you're in the place where you're amazing. So that's good, really good. Anything else you wish you knew as you were going through that 1 to 3 million phase, or even from 3 to 10, that you're like, man, that was such a key lesson that I learned?
Oh, dude. Once you get past 1 to 3, then it's about like, once you figure those things out with your systems and people, the only intrinsic thing in your business that you need to spend money on that's not a direct ROI is just networking. Like on top of this podcast, I probably spend 20 grand a month on just like events and getting on bigger podcasts and getting placements in press and all these things that are getting me in bigger networks, like masterminds. I'm in a couple of masterminds. Like when you go to events and you fly to different places and you travel and you're in the right rooms, like you will intrinsically find more money and you'll be able to pull more money out of a room because of the people that you know. Like these podcasts, all the things that I've done have allowed me to connect with like really cool people. Like not everybody is meant to partner with somebody that they have on a podcast with, but I mean, dude, just revenue wise in general, the last 3 months that I've just been doing podcasts and speaking at keynotes and stuff, dude, our revenue's grown by like easily 20 something %. just from doing all like the podcasts and speaking and networking and like, oh, this person, yeah, okay, you want them to run your, okay, yeah, I know Wojo, he runs ads. And it's just like this thing where you're just getting in more circles where two things happen. Number one is association. So like association is selling without having to sell anybody. It's like, hey, you know this person, they're good, use them. All right, sick. Two is all the people who are better to work with are in those circles. They have bigger budgets. They're not headaches. They understand what it takes to run a business. And overall, they're just better lifetime value people. And then you provide them value and they provide you value. And it's a good relationship. And that was always the biggest thing for me was, hey, we're getting all of our clients through ads and my content. But like, I want to be able to get clients to where, hey, if I fly to Arizona or if I fly to California, I know 3 people there who want to have a cigar and chill out with me, or I can go to Miami and chill out with them. And it's just like, there's more than just money. And if you look at it differently past 3 million, you will make more if you just simply focus on relationships. Because dude, sitting behind a computer doesn't only pay the bills. I don't care who you are, but the people that you know definitely grows your net worth a lot more faster.
So that whole thing about, you know, the 5 people you hang out with the most, like that's who you become, right? So anyway, well said. I've been calling you Jason because that's your first name. You referred to yourself as Wojo. However you like to be called, your lessons in a relatively short period of time were very, very helpful for those who are going through that. So thank you for spending time with us today. Wojo, how do people find you? You got 1 million followers on Instagram, but if they want to learn more about Wojo Media or connect with you, how does that happen?
Yeah, so there's 2 options that they can take. One is they can just go to www.thewojomedia.com. So wojomedia.com. They can see all of our case studies, results, our process, services. They can book a free demo call there. If they want to follow me on social, they just go to @theJasonWojo. And then if they want to book a demo call, they can click the link in my bio there, or they can just follow for more content.
All right. Very good. It's been really fun to talk with you. Thanks for being a guest today.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, buddy.
All right. For all of you listening, please like, share, do all the things to help as many 7-figure business owners hear this amazing episode, as well as all the other ones that we have, like this one with Jason, where they just lay out the real things that they went through. And that's in an effort to help as many of you as possible get past those sticking points. So thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to the Elite Entrepreneurs Podcast with your host, Brett Gilliland. Be sure to leave a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts. You may also want to visit our website, eliteentrepreneurspodcast.com, to find additional resources to grow your business from 7 figures to 10 million and beyond.